What's up, Internet? I'm Matt Brickman. This is the 734 from WCCO. Hope you had a nice Mother's Day weekend, and we've got a little bit of a warm-up to get you back to work today. It's just nice that it finally looks like spring. Those blue skies help. Beautiful picture here in downtown Minneapolis. It's still a little on the cool side, kind of light jacket weather here early, but with the sun and a complete lack of wind, probably feels a little bit warmer than that 46-degree reading. You're at 41 in Blaine, 37 in Moore. You'll want a jacket there, but already nearly 50 down in Lakeville. So that sunshine is doing its job, and actually once the winds get blowing, they'll help out of the south. 5 to 10 miles an hour today. You pair that with sunshine, we should be in the upper 60s this afternoon, which is where we should be for the middle of May. Look at the rest of the week, actually really nice. 70 tomorrow. That chance of storms, I think, is going to be kind of tomorrow evening, 8 to 10, somewhere in there during the evening hours. Most of the day is dry. Sunny and 75. Wednesday looks awesome. And then Thursday, 79. If we get to 80, that would be our first 80-degree day since the middle of last September. It has been a long time since we have seen temperatures that warm, so something to watch for this week. Okay, heads up, germaphobes, this next story may be a trigger warning. Okay, turns out ride shares are way germier than your average taxi. 219 times germier, to be exact. This comes from a USA Today report on a new study by an insurance company. So the backseat of your Uber or Lyft is about 35,000 times germier than your average toilet seat. Window buttons, seat belts, those seem to be the worst spots. Here's the deal. Taxis are cleaned regularly. They're run by these larger companies, and most ride shares are just kind of folks doing this as a side hustle. Now, most of this stuff isn't harmful, but it is kind of gross. So does it make you think about hopping in an Uber or Lyft less? Maybe you'll switch to a taxi after hearing this. If you're watching on Facebook or on Twitter, let me know what you think, and we'll read some of your responses coming up in a few minutes. We're going to begin at the state capitol this morning, where, stop me if you've heard this one before, they still don't have a budget deal. Governor Tim Walz and legislative leaders left last night without a compromise. Two major sticking points are holding things up. One, the governor's proposed 20-cent gas tax to fix state roads and infrastructure. That's a sticking point there. The other is the medical provider tax, which is already in place. If no deal is reached by next Monday, that'll force a government shutdown on July 1. The U.S.-China trade war continues to escalate this morning, and Minnesota farmers are worried. The Trump administration increased tariffs by 15% on some $200 billion worth of Chinese-made goods. China hit back, putting tariffs on some U.S. food exports, like soybeans. Brad Hovell has a farm in Cannon Falls and says China typically buys about a third of Minnesota's soybeans. He hopes the deal's reached soon.
And the problem is we need help now. That's kind of the crux of it is you know, we've been dragging along here for a little while, and you know, we need something done, you know, sooner rather than later.
The White House's top economic advisor acknowledged that U.S. consumers and businesses will be the ones paying for the tariffs. Actress Felicity Huffman is expected to enter a guilty plea in Boston today for her role in the college admissions scandal. Huffman's one of 33 parents accused of cheating to get their kids into top schools, and she's likely going to face some prison time. Sources say prosecutors may ask for a 4 to 10-month sentence. A new lawsuit accuses more than a dozen generic drug companies of fixing prices. Minnesota is among 42 other states that filed the lawsuit. It accuses 19 generic drug companies and more than a dozen executives of price fixing. The generic drug industry vehemently denies the allegations. In fact, they're coming out strongly against this. Minnesota's Attorney General Keith Ellison plans to talk more about the lawsuit at a press conference this morning, so we'll watch for that. Gopher softball team has a lot to celebrate this morning. In fact, for the first time since 2014, they're going to host a regional in the NCAA tournament. Not only that, Minnesota will have a number 7 overall seed. That is their highest ever. First opponent is North Dakota State. It's a Friday night home game. All right, well, have you ever wondered where the cash from the ATM comes from, or what happens to old cash? Well, it's all tied to the Federal Reserve Bank in downtown Minneapolis. Kim Johnson got a tour recently. Last year, more than $13 billion came out of that building. The Fed also shreds up the old bills. Last year, it shredded $1 billion.
Bills come in, we have these things called high-speed machines that look at each bill individually and then determine, does it look like it's a defective bill? Then it moves over to this other pile and gets shredded, and this is the shredded cash.
And if you want some of that shredded cash, I don't know, maybe like a 6-year-old would want it, you can go and get some. Check out the Fed yourself, part of a free event next weekend called Doors Open Minneapolis. We've got the information if you want to check this out at WCCO.com. Hey, this past weekend, of course, was the fishing opener. Many of you headed out to trying to drop a line for the first time this season, including Governor Walz, who was successful catching one fish. We did find out that Otter Tail County is going to be the host for next year's fishing opener. They're down in Albert Lea on Saturday morning. You can see the governor there. And a ton of you were out as well, reeling it in. This catch comes from Norway Lake and Pine River. Hillary's daughter caught that massive bass. Congratulations to her. Lydia got a northern pike. A 4-foot pole had to be bent to the handle to reel that one in. Tim sharing that shot. This kid is so cute. Asa, his first fishing opener up in Ely. Eric passed that along of his grandson. And look at this haul. 87-year-old Tom Baldwin sitting with 17 walleyes. He and his 5 fishing buddies caught Saturday morning on the Rainy River and Lake of the Woods. Kimberly sharing that shot. Congratulations to all of you successfully fishing over the weekend. All right, let's get back to today's talker. A new study reports that the backseat of your average Uber or Lyft is hundreds of times germier than the average taxi. So we wanted to know if that skin-crawling information would change how you get around. Bringing in our digital guy, Cole, to read the feelings of the internet to you. Are people creeped out, Cole?
Yeah, a little bit. We got Melinda saying, I don't really use them often, if at all, so I'm not usually concerned with catching germs. I usually have hand sanitizer in my purse. We have Melissa saying it won't change, still using ride sharing. We have Wes saying yuck is all I have to say.
A couple of good comments here on Twitter, too. Rick saying I'm more concerned with the level of germs on the ordering kiosks at McDonald's. I imagine those get cleaned off pretty often. AJ's bringing the Lysol and the sanitizer, and I asked a cab driver here in Minneapolis, Shay, if she was surprised by this. She said, not at all. I was in some alarmingly nasty lifts in Chicago over several visits last December. I can tell when a car has never had a full service inside. The windows will be nasty and hard to see out. It's not frequently wiped down.
And from the Lyft perspective, we have Elizabeth saying, I drive Lyft. I wipe down the back seat regularly, especially when I had a passenger that was sick. Ugh. So at least she's, cool.
Yeah, if there's puke in it, yes, you should definitely clean it at that point. I think that is a fairly low bar to clear.
It's a good standard.
I think I'm just going to walk. That is it for now. This is the 734 from WCCO, a time when most of the Twin Cities are on the go. If you haven't already made us your home for mobile news, maybe you're in the back seat of a Lyft or an Uber or a taxi, take us with you. We'll be back here tomorrow at 7:34. Until then, be nice to each other on the internet.